Welcome back, everyone. As usual, we are two dudes talking 80s. I'm John. That's my partner in crime, Lewis.
Hello.
Is it really cold out there or something? You always look like you're a lumberjack.
I always run cold, man. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm always cold.
Okay, yeah, you need to move to a warmer climate. I don't think NorCal's working for you. No, nothing, nothing for that, huh? No.
No, no. I mean, I
You
can't
used all
argue.
your energy on the hello.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I did it with the opposite hand. That totally threw me off. So yeah,
good to know. You probably need an old man nap now.
at least one.
At least one. So anyway, we're back. I know you missed us, and by the way, I'm gonna shout out Erin again because she felt like she got mentioned in the last one, and she said it was life changing. So hopefully, hearing it twice will just set her heart completely aflutter.
Hopefully, it was life
Just,
changing for the better.
nah, I didn't say. I just said it was life changing. I didn't say how it improved, what it did. Yeah, thanks, Lou, for pointing that out, Apple. Anyway, so this is probably going to be the most personal episode we did. So you can see people are already turning this off, going, I'll catch another one. But we thought we'd talk about our favorite moments of the 80s. And there are a lot of them. So to narrow it down is going to be kind of interesting. And like I said, we come up with these topics, we don't discuss them, and then we'll do them. So it's going to be real interesting to hear what the other person has to say on their favorite moments of the 80s. And I'm going to let Lewis start us off.
Well, I remember us venturing out once we had turned 18. We didn't weren't old enough to drink, but we were old enough to do other things that 18-year-olds can do. So
Ooh.
we cruised up into the city and um yeah, so it was going to a gentleman's club. That's we were young and and single and that's what we did when we turned 18. But the best memories of that I have are in the way on the way to the city, right? Of course, there were events there that were hilarious, right? It had nothing to do with the performers, but just I remember being like in the back of Mark's truck, and Mark was a friend of ours that was legally blind, so there was somebody else driving his truck. I want to say it was his friend JB, and I just remember he and I this one night we were just dying, we were just laughing our butts back there on the way up into the city, and I just really cool memories of that, man. Really fond, us going up to Mel's Diner and then having our traditional dinner, and just amazing. It just brings a smile to my face when I think about that.
Wow, and I'm completely shocked that you brought it up because I wanted to talk about it once and you're like, shut me down. Um, yeah, for those that don't know, we pretty much stuck to one club, and it was Mitchell Brothers, which, boy, what an interesting story of that place, which recently closed, but just a very, very interesting place. It was owned by two brothers, and they started off making porn movies. I think they were responsible for Behind the Green Door with Marilyn Chambers. That was their claim to fame. I think it was that one. Um, and one of the brothers shot and killed the other one. So and didn't go to prison for it. So good lawyering there. But yeah, interesting, real interesting place. Lots of fun memories. Um, I'll dime myself out because I don't want to dime you out on anything. But I took my cousin there once in the late 80s. My cousin had moved from Utah, and we had moved in together. This was after I moved out with that buddy of mine, Mark. And I said, "Hey, why don't we go to a strip club?" He goes, "We can go to a strip club." I said, "Yeah, they don't serve alcohol. It's 18 and over. You're 18. We can go." So I take him there, and we're getting it in there, and like similar to how we were, right? His head's spinning, and he's like, "Do you come here a lot?" I said, "I've been here once or twice." I swear to God, we weren't even there for 5 minutes, and one of the dancers sat on my lap. She says, "Oh, hi, John. How are you?" I'm like, yeah, all right, maybe more than twice. So, or I'm just that memorable. Yeah. So that was one of my memories of those jaunts, so to speak. But yeah,
I,
lots of good times. We could take a whole 30 minutes talking about that and not even touch it.
I have a couple of specific memories that I want to share. And again, it didn't have so much to do with the performances, it was just the happenings that happened, right? I mean, I remember once I was there in a white t-shirt and I was trying very, very cautiously to, go down the row. I had to go use the bathroom, or I can't remember where I was going. And, there was neon lights in there, so my shirt was like super, super bright. And I fell as I was walking over. And I remember you telling me, it's like, oh yeah, there's Lewis. Oh, where did Lewis go? And Mark getting his mustache stuck in the Coke can. And I mean, ridiculous stuff like that, that just, it's just really funny to talk about, and it's really funny to relive.
Absolutely. That's a good one. And I'm shocked that you brought it up, but a great start. Going deep on that one. Um, I was trying to think of some of my favorite memories, and I had to include this. Um, the start of my band. You know, I had met this guy who was a year younger than us. His name was Dan, and he said he could play drums. And I kept encouraging him, "Hey, get drums. I'll play guitar. We'll get a band together." And he got drums, and he progressed really quick. He was a really good drummer. And then out of all things, so we were trying to find a band, but we were trying to get our stuff going first. And my mom, I'm still in high school. My mom comes home one day and she goes, "Hey, there was this guy working at Kmart. He was working at the cafeteria. And I think he's a guitar player, and he's a friend that's a bass player, and he plays heavy metal. Here's his number." I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. My mom's gonna help get a band together. Yeah, right. And we were in a band for I don't know how many years. But getting that together, the early days, the early rehearsals, finding a sound, a commonality, it was really a very, very exciting, fun time for me, and one of my better memories. It took us a while to find a singer, so we went as a four piece for quite a while, but lots of good times. I could talk for hours about the things about auditioning singers, and being Spinal Tap with our drummers keep blowing up, and but it was a really great time starting that band, and one of my fondest memories.
Very cool, very cool. It's a trip that, again, your mom was sort of, responsible for assembling the band, and that you guys meshed, right? That it wasn't something like, okay, yeah, here's this guitar player. You guys are completely under with different influences, didn't work. The odds of that, actually happening are pretty extraordinary. So I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was a great time.
I'm gonna dovetail off of that because, again, memories that I had of handing out flyers at the different clubs for your band. And I remember initially it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and help John. This is not going to be fun, but whatever. But it turned out to be a lot of fun because you met a lot of people, and you sort of had to get creative to sort of get the flyer in their face and get them to look at it and stuff. And I remember us at the Mountain View Theater, and people coming in and out, and even at a Bon Jovi concert, I think that we did that. And it just turned out to be such a blast. I remember that. And initially I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to help John out. This is just going to be okay. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Those were good times. Trying to get people to go, get interest in your band, whatever you could do, right? And that's how we did it. We did flyers. That was the way in the 80s. We didn't have the internet. So you'd want to get people there and kind of get a buzz going. And we would go quite often, print up a bunch of flyers. Luckily, we had a singer that was an amazing artist, so our flyers always looked different and always looked interesting. And yeah, it was a good time. It was always something, like, oh God, I don't want to do it. But once you got out there and met people, and we met Troy before we had ever played a show. We had The only reason we met Troy was we handed him a flyer and started talking to him. So, there were a lot of people that came and saw the band that became friends for years and years. So, really good time. Um, my next one, I don't want this to. God, I hope this doesn't come across really bad, and if it does, I apologize. I have two that are going to be, well, maybe more than two that are going to be like a little questionable. But I think I was around 14 or 15, and I had made a deal with my father that if I saved up $250, he'd pay the other $250, and I was going to get a Charvel. Right? Loved the Charvels. Was able to save up. That was the agreement. We went to Guitar Center in San Francisco, ordered this Charvel. Ordered it up. It was going to be all custom done. 500 bucks. A really nice guitar. They called us up. Hey, your guitar is in. We drive to San Francisco, and they said we get there, and they're like, hey, we're really sorry. The guitar we ordered didn't show up. This one did, and they show it to us, and it's a beautiful Jackson soloist. One piece of wood, neck through, neck in the body, um, custom binding, just gorgeous, gorgeous guitar. They said we could sell this to you, but this guitar is $1,500, which is a lot of money now, right? Now imagine in the mid '80s what that must have been. And my father goes, well, let me go talk to my son about this. We went outside the Guitar Center, and I said, he goes, what do you think? I said, look, it's the most beautiful guitar I've ever seen. Of course, I want it, but that's a lot of money, and that's not the deal we made. So we'll wait until my guitar comes in. He looks at me, goes, okay, fine. Walks in, says, we'll take it. Um, Not only was it the fact, I don't want to be like, Violet Beauregard. I want it and I want it now. Oh, wait, no, that was a different Willy Wonka character. Crap, I don't remember her name.
Veruca Salt.
Veruca Salt, thank you.
Why I remember
Uh,
that, I don't know.
I don't either. There's a band named that in the '90s. Anyway, but it was the fact that this was kind of an acknowledgement of my father, like, hey, I see what you're doing. I know that you're taking this incredibly seriously. It was kind of an affirmation for me about wanting to pursue music, wanting to be a guitar player, wanting to join a band or start a band. It kind of was all that stuff for me. So it was really a beautiful moment for me. um, you know I that was a guitar I played pretty much every show we ever played was that guitar. I always tried to go to other guitars, and so I wouldn't have to use that one and I could retire it. And I always came back to it. It was like a bad penny that just kept coming back. And it was a beautiful moment, something I always will remember. I actually got that guitar tattooed on my arm, as a remembrance. But it means so much more to me than just simply being a guitar with six strings. It means, it's always a reminder of my father and his belief in me, and the connection we had. And that was not his world. And the fact that he still stepped into that world, with both feet, is pretty amazing. So I got to go with that.
No, that's super awesome. And I knew the story. I was not aware that your dad had to dish out an additional, like $1,000 to get the guitar. Very touching, very, very touching. And yeah, I could totally see why that, yeah, you have such an attachment to that guitar. So the next one that I'm going to bring up is one that you actually reminded me of, and it's when I bought my first car. And it was like maybe 2 days after I graduated high school, and it kills me that I didn't at least have it for one day. That I wasn't able to drive it into high school. But I bought my car. It was a Camaro, a Z28, and with it just automatically came a bunch of freedom because my dad, as you know, and most people probably don't, was very, very strict. So I wasn't allowed to do like much of anything. Like going out at night wasn't really something I was allowed to do. But when I got that car, it was just like something switched. I just walked out the door and said, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. And there was like no questioning of it. I'm all right, this is pretty cool. I should have gotten a car a long time ago. So it was very liberating. I remember driving home from the dealership and Phil Collins playing Invisible Touch on my AM FM radio. It didn't even have a cassette, right? It was just an AM FM radio with the two speakers in the dash. But yeah, just great feeling and great memories with that.
That's awesome. I don't really remember that car. I always think of the Monte Carlo, but what a great memory, and it is a shame you never got to drive it to school. I'm not quite the car enthusiast, so that didn't make my list as well. Um, okay, this one is gonna sound kind of superficial, but what the hell? We're gonna go deep on this one. I gotta say, one of my best memories was hooking up with Mary. So Lewis remembers this, but I had just broke. I know, right? Hey, if you're gonna throw out a strip club story, I got to go deep. I had broken up with my girlfriend, the first real serious relationship of my life. This was right after high school. Um, and I had broken up with her and I had started a new job. And I remember this woman named Mary, a couple years older than me, and she was late to work. And it's one of those things that I remember her walking through the door. It was like one of those things you see in a movie where it's like slow motion and the way she moved, and she was wearing a blue dress, and I just was like, wow, that woman is absolutely gorgeous. And we became friends. And I remember, I think it was right before you went to Portugal. Three of us went out, and you reminded me that I was talking about, oh, we're friends. We would never do anything, blah blah. It's so good that we can be friends. And you went to Portugal, and of course things had changed. And whoops. And that was her pursuing me. So one, it was really great because she was fantastic, and incredibly beautiful. But the other thing was for me, I was I had broken up from a relationship, like I said, my first serious relationship, and felt very bad about myself, felt very negative. Um, and then Mary came into my life, this incredibly beautiful woman that I was like, no chance in hell I could ever get a woman like this, right? And I did. And the fact that, what it did for my confidence moving forward, my ability to think of myself in a different way, um, was pretty fantastic. And it's funny because that girlfriend that had broken up with me and broke my heart actually came back to me too, or tried to. We tried to make it work again, it never lasted, and went back with kind of went back with Mary. So I got to include that. It was an important part of my maturation process, and very very fond memories of it.
Wow, yeah, I'm shocked that you went there. I really didn't think you were going to go that deep. So you definitely went deep. I remember being shocked that, and I forgot how that we stumbled upon this, that I actually ended up working with Mary's brother. I mean, I actually worked with him. I knew him well, and we'd go out to lunch and stuff like that, and had no idea there was a connection until one day that we went to go, grab Mary. I think we were going to go see a movie or something, and my friend comes out and is all like, "Hey, what are you doing, taking my sister out?" Joking around and stuff. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty funny. And again, mind blown.
All right.
All right, the next one that I've got is when we went dancing. I wanted to call out Cheers, but I don't remember much about Cheers in the 80s. I want to say that that was more of a thing that we did in the 90s. What I do fondly remember in the 80s was going out to Bobby McGee's a lot. And I remember discovering Long Island iced teas and Sex on the Beach and dancing to American Soviets. We called it the RoboCop song at the time because we didn't know better. And it was again just sort of a whole new world opened up when I turned 21 and before you turned 21 because nobody really questioned whether you're 21 or not. You just walked in. And I think we talked about that in one of the other episodes. But I remember that a lot and just fun, with your friend Zaida and her
Shy
shy friend
cousin, shy cousin.
who ended up not being so shy. Um,
So we can't keep that an inside joke. There, I had a friend named Zaida. We worked together. We became good friends. Um, we used to see her dancing there all the time. And one night she introduced us to her cousin, and I don't think her cousin spoke a ton of English, but and she's telling us, she goes, "Oh, please excuse my cousin. She's really shy." And I swear to God, an hour later, she is playing tonsil hockey with some dude she had just met on the dance floor. And we're like, Lou and I are looking at her going, yeah, not that shy, apparently. So, fond memories of that.
for sure, for sure. Lots of good times at that place, and yeah, sometimes I drive by it and reminisce. It's obviously not there anymore, but yeah, good times, good times.
Yeah, in the 80s, it seemed like every hotel, like upper class hotel, had a dance club in it. We went to a
Dude,
lot of them.
they were all over the place, man. I mean, you're right. Every freaking hotel had one. Every hole in the wall that you could find had one. Some of them were in malls. I remember us going to it was someplace in Mountain View. I can't remember the name of it, but it was actually in a mall, and it was the only place that was open in the mall after hours. And yeah, just everywhere, clubs everywhere in the 80s.
Oh, God. The one place, I think it was, we went there the first time with Aaron and Lorenz, was San Jose Live. In the 80s. And the San Jose Live was kind of like what Dave and Buster's is now, except San Jose Live was bigger and it had dancing. It had different sections or whatever. And I remember going to San Jose Live for dancing, or that was the first time I ever had been to a dueling piano bar. Um, and the guys would be playing and getting the crowd going. And I don't know why. I still remember this, where the guy would go, um, something, um, you know, knock knock, who's there? Urinate, urinate who? Urinate, but you'd be 10 with bigger tits, and then start playing again. Like it was, it's a lot funnier when you're drunk. But, yeah, those were some good times. I'm actually piggybacking on that though, because one of my things that I wanted to say for my favorite memory was my 21st birthday. Um, at the time, we worked together, and this is stuff you couldn't imagine happen. Well, I guess you could imagine it happening now, but I remember one of our coworkers and a friend of ours brought me a birthday gift to work, and we went to one of the rooms and I opened it up, and it was a thing to make what were tequila poppers. I don't even know what you put in tequila poppers. It's been so long, but you would put something in it, you bash it down, and then you slam it. And we're doing that at work. I think we were off. I think it was already time for us to be off, but we were doing that at work. And I remember going to TGI Fridays on El Camino. I love that place. I love TGI Fridays. Going there for my birthday dinner. I don't know. I don't. For some reason, I think you weren't there for the dinner.
Oh, maybe not for the dinner.
And Mark was there, my sister, and
I was
the
probably working. That's
waitress.
what it probably was. I'm sorry. I was working swing at that
Okay,
time. That's probably why I wasn't
yeah,
there.
you probably didn't work with me at that point. Um, no, me, I don't know, whatever. So anyway, I remember going to Fridays, and the waitress came by and said, "Oh, I got this special dessert for you. Usually we just give you this little chintzy sundae, but I told him to take it out of take it out for me, or I paid for it, or whatever, so you would get something so much better." And my parents were there, and like I said, my sister's like, "Why aren't you inviting her out to go dancing with you tonight." And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is great." Yeah, in front of my parents and everybody, I'm like, ask this girl out, and there's a strong possibility she says no. One of those things. It's like I should have done it, but and then we went to Bobby McGee's. Zaida was there. At the time, she was dating the DJ, so she got the DJ to give me a shout out. He's like, "Hey, John, happy 21st birthday!" And he's on the microphone. He goes, "Wait a sec, you've been coming here for months." And I'm just like, "Oh God." One of the best nights of my life. It was such a fun time. So many people were there. Had a blast. Drank way too much. Had way too much fun. But it's definitely one of my fondest memories.
And you're absolutely right, John. By that time, I was working with you because I had just, it was, I don't know why I remember this, but it was March 11th. Uh, I want to say 89 that I started working there. So I had just turned 21. So you're right. You're right. I wasn't working swing. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't go to your dinner. Yeah, maybe.
You're probably fighting with somebody. Anyway, give me
Did I
your
even know her at
last.
that point? I don't think I knew her at that point yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did.
Did I? Oh, maybe I did. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, that explains it.
Go. Give me your last one.
Oh man. Gosh, I might have run out of them. Yeah, I thought I'd gone through all of them, but maybe I came up one short.
You're one short.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Um, Now you got me concerned because my last memory is probably one that you're not very fond of, but now you have me thinking it might have happened in the 90s. When was your wedding?
Uh, I was married in yeah, you're probably right. It probably happened in the 90s. I was married in November of 89.
You were married in the 80s.
I was married in the 80s, at the
All
very,
right,
very
that's
tail end of
that's
the
my
80s.
last one.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. I hope this isn't uncomfortable for you, but I'm bringing it up anyway because
Hang on for one second. There was a wedding that I had in Tahoe that was in 89. There was a church wedding that I had that was in the 90s.
oh, screw you. I'm going with it. I'm going with it anyway because I'm going with it. It was close enough. It was an extension, so it went in.
Very good.
Anyway, so that was one of my fondest memories. And I know it's a sore subject for you, but bear with me, please. I will never forget. First, I had, the honor of being in your wedding party, and I went to pick up the tux. It was a gray tux, and I told them at the place where we got our tuxes, whatever you do, do not let this man go home without buying socks. Do not do that. Nobody listened to me, and the day of your wedding, you have got black socks on. And it looked so bad. And I'm like, dude, I love you. I can't do this. I cannot let you get married in those stupid black socks. So we get a limo, and we were super excited because it had a TV, right? A TV and a limo. And we were watching Ingve Malmsteen live in Russia. I don't know if it was the VHS or if it was, no, I don't even think it was, yeah, it had to be VHS, right?
It was. It was.
We're watching a VHS copy of Ingve Malmsteen. We made the limo driver drive us to Kmart. Me and another guy are running through Kmart trying to find socks, holding it up to our tuxedos to make sure we got you the right color. Um, my parents were there, and my parents never got to see me get married. They never got to see my sister get married, though she never did. Um, that was the closest thing they ever saw to their child getting married. And there is a shot from your wedding of me and my mom. That's still one of my absolute favorite photos of me with my mother. And so that's why it's such a wonderful memory for me, such an important memory. And, despite how things happened later on, it was a fantastic day and one of those days that was one of the better days of my life.
Oh, that's really awesome, man. That's really awesome. And I know exactly what picture you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Unfortunately things didn't work out, but or fortunately, however you want to look at it. Uh but yeah, I that's really awesome.
It was a great fun day. So I was trying to think if I could remember like the most embarrassing moment that I had in the '80s. God, there were a lot of them, but nothing's really coming to mind right now. Do you remember your most embarrassing moment of the '80s? Other than wearing potentially wearing black socks to your wedding for the suit that didn't fit?
Walking through the front aisle of a gentleman's club, falling over while wearing a white t-shirt under neon lights. I no, no, I would have to give that one some thought. I'm sure that there's some out there. I'm sure there's a lot out there once I give it some thought.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot too. I just was thinking about, but I have to say one of my most embarrassing memories was playing live, and we were morons, and we gave you the ability to work the fog machine. And I think it was a New Mountain View Theater, and they had a photography pit. No, no, it was the one step. It was the one step beyond, I think. Anyway, it was a show, and they had a photographer's pit, and they had these two by fours and like a little area that you could stand right in front of the crowd. And so I walked up on it. I had a wireless system, and I walked up on it. And right as I'm there, and you hit fog like crazy, and I can't move. I can't even see. And so I can't move. I'm kind of precarious on this. And all of a sudden, somebody starts putting their hands up my leg, and they're reaching towards the boys and, little Johnny, and they're going to touch my penis. And I'm like, oh my god! And everything is going through my head. Like, is this a guy? Is this a girl? Do I want them? Doing this? Like, I'm playing. This is really awkward. And I think finally you took your finger off the button long enough that it dissipated. I still to this day don't know who did it. And I stepped back and yeah. Oh, there's one other. I got to tell this story. We were playing the Omni with Metal Church, and I'm a big guy, right? I mean, obviously I was thinner back then, but I've always been a big guy. And I think Militia, the band was playing, great band by the way. This guy grabbed me from behind and lifted me up, like around my thighs, and so my back is to his front, and he grabs me, lifts me up off the into the air, starts running me around the Omni, and I'm like trying to pretend like I'm cool with this, and I'm laughing and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna punch this guy, and I'm thinking. This guy is strong enough that he's lifted you and he's running around with you like a track meet. You probably don't want to mess with this guy. He finally put me down. I looked up. I had no idea who he was. Just some random dude grabbed me, and I'm like, cool, man, high five. Get away from me.
That is really funny. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, had to be a pretty big guy because like you said, you're sizable.
I'm sizable. Well, I think we did enough reminiscing of the '80s for one week. Lots of great memories. I'm still in shock that you brought up our trips to Mitchell Brothers, but those were great times. They all were great. There were so many great times in the '80s, and thank God we didn't have cell phones back then because I think it would have been a very different world, and I'm so thankful that we lived in an age where we didn't have that. We didn't have the social media. That we went out, we played, we went to concerts. We went to concerts, and we lived the memories. We don't, see 80 million phones taking, video the whole time. And forever grateful I was born when I was born.
Yeah, it definitely seems to me like the 80s were less complicated than times are today.
Yeah. hell of a lot more fun though. All right. Anything you want to add before we call it a night?
No, man, I think that's it, and we're probably running pretty close to the timer here, so I ain't got nothing.
Got nothing. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys watching. If you made it through this, we really love you because we're not talking about anything you would know about, just talking about our experiences. So, hope you enjoyed them. If you made it, thank you. You're the best. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll be seeing you soon. Lewis, take us out, brother.
Peace out.
Thank you, guys.